in Sanskrit. We're going to be reciting
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, verse 36. Kalena milita diyam avamrasya niranam Sukayusam swanigamo bata duraparaha avirhitastvanuyugam sahi satyavatyam vedadrumam vitapaso vipashyati smaha.
The Lord himself, in his incarnation as the son of Satyavati Vyasadeva, will consider his complete completion of the Vedic literature be very difficult for the less intelligent persons with short life, and thus he will divide the tree of Vedic knowledge into different branches according to the circumstances of the particular age.
Verse 37. Devadisam nikamavartmani nisthitanam पूर्भिर्मयेन विहिताभिरदृश्यतुर्भिः लोकान् ज्ञतां मतिविमोहम् अतिप्रलोभम् वेषां विधाय बहुभाष्यत औपधर्म्यम्.
When the atheist, after being well versed in the Vedic scientific knowledge, annihilate inhabitants of different planets, flying unseen in the sky on well-built rockets prepared by the great scientist Maya, the Lord will bewilder their minds by dressing himself attractively as Buddha and will preach on sub-religious principles.
Verse 38. Yaryalayeshvapi satam na harirkatashyu pasandino dvijajana prasalanirdevaha swaha svata svavasaditi sma giro na yatra shasta bhavishyati kalir bhagavan yugante.
Thereafter, at the end of Kali Yuga, when there exist no topics on the subject of God, even at the residence of so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hands of ministers elected from the lower-born Sudra class, those less than them, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser.
Verse 39. Sarge tapoham rasayo navaya prajesha sthane tadharma makaman vamaravanisaha ante tvadharma haramanyo vasashuradhyah maya vibhutaya ima purushakti bhajaha.
At the beginning of creation, there are penance, myself, Brahma, and the Paravatis, the great sages who generate. Then, during the maintenance of creation, there are Lord Vishnu, the demigods with controlling powers, and the kings of different planets. But at the end, there is irreligion, and then Lord Shiva and the atheists full of anger, etc. All of them are different. All of them are different representative manifestations of the energy of the supreme power, the Lord.
Verse 40. Vishnu Nuvirya Gunanam Kato Rihatiha ये पार्थिवन्यपि कविर्विमाम राजंसि कष्कम्भये स्वारहसा स्खलात्रिपृष्ठम् यस्मात्त्रिसंज्ञा सदनाद् उरु कम्पयानात्.
Who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientists who might have counted the particles of the atoms of the universe cannot do so, because it is he only who is the form of Trivikama, moved by his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet, Satyaloka, up to the neutral state of the three modes of material nature, and all were moved.
Verse 41. Nantam vidamyaham ami munayo grajasate maya balasya purushasya kuto varaye gayan gunanda sasatanan adideva shesho tunapi samavashyati nasya param.
Neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead. So what can others who are born after us know about him? Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, although he is describing the qualities of the Lord with 10 faces.
Verse 42. येषां स एष भगवान् दययेदनन्तः सर्वात्मनास्त्रितपदो यदि निर्व्यलीकम् ते दुष्टरम् आतितरन्ति च देवमायम् नैषामहमिति स्वसृगलभक्ष्ये.
But anyone who is specifically favored by the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, due to unalloyed surrender and to the service of the Lord, can overcome the insurmountable ocean of illusion and can understand the Lord. But those who are attached to this body, which is meant to be eaten at the end by dogs and jackals, cannot do so.
Verse 43 to 45. Vedahamanga paramasya hi yogamayam यूयं भवश्च भगवान् तदैतवर्यः पत्नी मनः स च मनोश्च तद् आत्मजश्च प्राचीनबर्हिरिभुवङ्ग ऊतध्रुवश्च इक्ष्वाकुडैलामुचुकुन्द विदेहगादी राघवमृष सगर गयानाहुसात्यः मन्दर्त्रलर्का शतधन्वनो रन्ति देवाव्रतो बलिरमुर्धरयो दिलीपाम् सौभार्युतुङ्कशिबिदेवला पीपलाद सारस्वतो तावपरासरा भूरिसेनः येने विभीषण हनुमत् उपेन्द्रदत्ता पार्थास्तिसेना विदुराश्रुतदेववार्यः.
O Nada, although the potencies of the Lord are unknowable and immeasurable, still, because we are all surrendered souls, we know how he acts through Yogamaya potencies. And similarly, the potencies of the Lord are also known to the all-powerful Shiva, the great king of the Asius family, namely Prahlad Maharaj, Sarvabhauma Manu, his wife Satarupa, his sons and daughters like Priyavrata, Uttanapada, Akuti, Devahuti, and Parasuti, Parachinabhari, Rupi, Anga, the father of Vena, Maharaj Dhruva, Ishvashu, Aila, Mukunda, Maharaj Janaka, Radhi, Raghu, Ambavisa, Saga, Gaya, Nahusa, Madhata, Akala, Hatsat Havani, Anu, Ratni Deva, Bhishma, Bali, Atmaraya, Dilipa, Sahubari, Atkana, Siba, Devala, Dipalanda, Sarasvata, Uddhava, Parasara, Buhisena, Vibhisana, Hanuman, Sukadev Goswami, Arjuna, Atisena, Sidvira, Devi, etc.
Verse 46. Te vai vidanti atiranti cha devamayam Stri Sudra Hona Sabra Api Pap Jiva Yadi Adbhuta Krama Shila Shiksha Kriyak Janapi Kimu Shruta Dharanaye.
Surrender. Thank you. Surrendered souls, even from groups leading sinful lives, such as women, the labor class, the mountaineers and the Siberians, or even the birds and beasts, can also know about the science of Godhead and become liberated from the clutches of the illusory energy by surrendering unto the pure devotees of the Lord and by following in their footsteps in devotional service.
Verse 47. Shashvat Prasantam Abhayam Pratibodhamatram Shutam Samam Sadasata Paramatma-tattvam Shabdo na yatra puru कारकावन् क्रियार्थो Maya Paraiti Abhimukhache Vijamala Tadvai Padam Bhagavata Paramastya Pumso Brahmeti Yad Vidura Jasra Shukham Vishokam.
What is realized as the absolute Brahman is full of unlimited bliss without grief. That is uncertainly the ultimate phase of the supreme enjoyer, the personality of Godhead. He is eternally void of all disturbances and is fearless. He is complete consciousness as opposed to matter, uncontaminated and without distinctions. He is the principal primeval cause of all causes and effects, in whom there is no sacrifice for fruitive activities, and in whom the illusory energy does not stand.
Verse 48. Sadryaniyamya yatayo yamakartahetim Chayo swarat eva nipana khanitram indra.
In such a transcendental state, there is no need of artificial control of the mind, mental speculation, or meditation as performed by the yanis and yogis. One gives up such processes as the heavenly king Indra forgoes the trouble to dig a well.
Verse 49. Shreyasamapi vibhur bhagavan yatosya bhava svabhava vihitasya sata prasiddhihi dehe svatatu vigame nuvishriyam mane vyomeva tatra purusho na visiryate jaha.
The personality of Godhead is the supreme master of everything, auspicious, because the results of whatever actions are performed by the living being in either the material or spiritual existence are awarded by the Lord. As such, He is the ultimate benefactor. Every individual living entity is unborn, and therefore, even after the annihilation of the material elementary body, the living entity exists exactly like the air within the body.
Verse 50. Soyam te vihitastat Bhagavan Vishwabhavanaha Samasena Harir Nanyad Anyasmat Sadasakjayat.
My dear son, I have now explained in brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the creator of the manifested worlds. Without him, Hari, the Lord, there were no other causes of the phenomenal and the non-menal existences.
Verse 51. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Yanme Bhagavatotitam Srangrahoyam Vibhutinam Tvam etat Vipuli
O Narada, this science of God, Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me in summary by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it was spoken as the accumulation of his diverse potencies. Please expand this science yourself.
Verse 52. Yatha haro bhagavati nirnam bhaktir bhavishyati sarvatmani akhiladhare iti sankalpya varanaya.
Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, the supersoul of every living being and the sum bonum source of all energies.
Verse 53. Mayam varnayato masya ishwarasyanumoditaha Shranvata Shradaya Nityam Mayayatmanumayati.
The Lord's activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusionary energy of the Lord.
Hare Krishna, dear devotee. Thank you for the opportunity for letting me recite and forgive me for my mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Nilavasana Mataji. That was so nicely recited, the Sanskrit verses, and also Krishna Gopal Prabhu, thank you so much for reciting the English as well. So thank you all of you for joining in for today's chat class. Today, we're going to be reading from Canto 2, which is the Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 7, which is scheduled incarnations. Sorry, beg your pardon. Chapter 7 is scheduled incarnations with specific functions, and the verses we're reading is verse 49 and 50. I'll just share the screen. I just check. Can you see that?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. My name is Krishna Govinda. Thank you once again. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskapcham Naram Chaiva Narottanam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tado Jayavadiraye. Nasteshu Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Matam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. So chapter 2, canto 2, chapter 7, verse 49. Sashaya Samapi Vapu Bhagavan Yatosya Bhava Swabhava Vitasya Sata Prashidi Dehe Swadatu Vikame Navis Shiryamani Vyomeva Tata Purusho Na Vishirya Yatecha. Just for time, I'll read the translation and the purport, and then we'll go to the next verse in a short while. Translation. The personality of Godhead is the supreme master of everything auspicious, because the results of whatever actions are performed by the living being in either the material or spiritual existence are awarded by the Lord. As such, is the ultimate benefactor. Every individual living entity is unborn, and therefore, even after the annihilation of the material elementary body, the living entity exists, exactly like air within the body. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The living entity is unborn and eternal, and as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 30, the living entity is not exhausted, even though the material elementary body is vanquished. As long as the living entity is in the material existence, actions performed by him are rewarded in the next life, or even in the present life. Similarly, in his spiritual life, also actions are rewarded by the Lord for their 5 kinds of liberation. Even the impersonalist cannot achieve the desired merging into the existence of the Supreme without being favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 11, that the Lord awards similar results as one desires in one's present life. The living entities are given freedom to make their choice, and the Lord awards them accordingly. It is the duty of everyone, therefore, to worship devoutly only the personality of Godhead to achieve his desired goal. The impersonalist, instead of speculating or meditating, can directly execute a routine devotional service of the Lord and thus easily obtain the desired goal. The devotees, however, are naturally inclined to become associates of the Lord and not merge in their spiritual existence, as conceived by the impersonalist. The devotees, therefore, following their constitutional instincts, achieve the desired goal of becoming servitors, friends, fathers, mothers, or conjugal lovers of the Lord. The devotional service of the Lord involves 9 transcendental processes, such as hearing and chanting, and by performing such easy and natural devotional services, the devotees achieve the highest perfectional results, far, far superior to merging into the existence of Brahman. The devotees are therefore never advised to indulge in speculating upon the nature of the Supreme or artificially meditating on the void. One should not, however, mistakenly think that after the annihilation of this present body, there is no body by which one can associate with the Lord face to face. The living entity is unborn. It is not that he is manifest within the creation of the material body. On the other hand, it is true that the material body develops only by the desire of the living entity. The evolution of the material body is due to the desires of the living being. According to the desires of the living being, the material body develops. So from the spirit soul, the material body comes into existence, generated from the living force. Since the living being is eternal, it exists just like the air within the body. Air is within and without the body. Therefore, when the external covering, the material body, is vanquished, The living spark, like the air within the body, continues to exist. And by the direction of the Lord, because He is the ultimate benefactor, the living entity is at once awarded the necessary spiritual body befitting its association with the Lord in the manner of Sarupya, equal bodily feature, Salokya, equal facility to live on the same planet with the Lord, Sharishti, equal possessions of opulence like the Lord, and Samipya, equal association with the Lord. The Lord is so kind that even if a devotee of the Lord cannot fulfill the complete course of devotional service, unalloyed and uncontaminated by material association, is given another chance in the next life by being awarded a birth in the family of a devotee or a rich man, so that without being engaged in the struggle for material existence, the devotee can finish the remaining purification of his existence, and thus immediately, after relinquishing the present body, go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. In this connection, detailed information is available in the Bhagavad Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. Once achieving the spiritual existence, the devotee is eternally situated there. This is already discussed in the previous verse. Next verse, verse 50, I'll quickly read this. So yam te bihitas tata bhagavan vishvabhavanaha samasena hari nanyat anyasmacha sadasachayat. Translation, my dear son, I've now explained in brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is creator of the manifested worlds. Without him, Hari, the Lord, there are no other courses but the phenomenal and noumenal existences. Okay, I'm just going to recite the invocation prayers. Do join in. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatate Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vishabhanu Sata Devi Mana Mami Hari Piye Manchakapatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my obeisances to Vice Spiritual Master, Soledad Bhakti Swami, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale, Shimati Bhakti Swami Tinamane, and to his BBT founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale, Shimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane, Namaste Saraswati Deva Mangolvadi Pachayane, Nirvishesa Sajivadi Pashata Desatayane. Kindly seek the blessings of my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, and also the blessings of all the devotees and Vaishnavas who are listening in today, so that I may talk on the wonderful topics of Shri Radha and Krishna from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7. So this is a very beautiful verse. There's many points that's actually mentioned in this translation and Srila Prabhupada's purport. But just to begin with, so as you remember, during lockdown, we started this chat sessions. And the first book that we started reading was the Bhagavad Gita. And we read it several times again and again until we decided to go to Srimad Bhagavatam. So during that particular Bhagavad Gita recitation, we covered the chapter 2 quite frequently. Chapter 2 is actually discussing in detail about the living entity, the original constitutional position of the living entity, its relation to the Supreme Lord, and the temporary material body. So here, Srila Prabhupada further explains this information about the living entity and the importance about the living entity. In respects to the living entity, it's eternal, full of knowledge, it's existed since time immemorial. So it's part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So whatever the qualities the Supreme Lord has, the living entity also has the same qualities. But although the Supreme Lord is unlimited in his qualities, the part and parcel, the living entity, is very limited in terms of like the quantity. Quality, we may have the same qualities as the Supreme Lord, but on a quantity level, it's very tiny, very insignificant. It's like comparing like a tiny drop of water to a mighty ocean. There's no comparison at all whatsoever. But here, Srila Prabhupada mentions about the importance about the living entity. It allows us to, by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it allows us to free ourselves from this bondage of material life and obtain that spiritual qualities that is the natural qualities of the living entity. The living entity, as I mentioned, is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. It's covered by the three modes of material nature, it's covered by illusion. So we don't really understand this full original constitutional situation in relation to the Supreme Lord. Because of our material conditioning and also been living in the material world life after life after life, in fact, 8,400,000 species of life, we've been going through this cycle of repeated birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, again and again, since time immemorial. And we've not, anyway, certainly not me, we've not been able to attain that spiritual platform where we can be with Krishna. And later on, I'll explain about the 5 types of liberation that Srila Prabhupada mentions in this particular purport. But what's important is understanding that the spiritual, whatever that one action carries out, whether in the material benefits of life or in the spiritual benefits, Krishna certainly rewards them either in this lifetime or in the next lifetime. So material benefit, although there are many sort of material achievements in one's life, many people also achieve some sort of piety in the next life as well. Maybe they may be doctors, helping people who are very sick, very poor, unwell, people who may be very noble in their donations, establishing welfare centers, hospitals, and so forth. Of course, that's not the primary object of human life. Certainly, it's a stepping stone into the level of piety. But the actual level of surrender to the Supreme Lord is by performing devotional service. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, this living entity, although it's eternal, but the body, it perishes. And Srila Prabhupada actually mentions this particular verse. So just for your benefit, I'll just share this particular verse to you. Chapter 2, verse 30. Is there anybody who'd like to read this and read the translation? There'll be a lot of verses I'll be asking, so please do volunteer. Namrata Mataji, are you there?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, if you want to recite in the translation.
Yes, sure, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji, I'm trying to look for my glasses now, but I think I can see the screen. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll zoom in if you want for you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Do you want me to do the Sanskrit reading, Prabhuji, first?
Yeah, please. This is chapter 2, verse 30. That Prabhupada refers to in the previous verse that we were reading. Purport.
Okay. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam sochitam arhasi.
Again, then translation.
O
Read the
descendant,
translation.
yes, Prabhuji. O
Yeah.
descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being.
So, although this particular verse is mentioned about the spirit soul cannot be slain, although the body can be slain itself, but Krishna is telling Arjuna not to grieve for the living entity if it deceases at the time of death. But the verse I wanted to share with you, if it's okay, if there's another volunteer, we could read this verse regarding the importance of the soul, the qualities of the soul. Any volunteers? Okay, everybody's feeling a little sleepy. Okay, I'll read this. This is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 20. Na jayate mriyate vakadachit, nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya, ajo nityaha sasvato yam purano, na hanyate anyamane sarire. So this is a very beautiful verse, and everyone should try and remember this particular verse. For the soul, there's neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, or will not come into being. Is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. It's not slain when the body is slain. So this actually is self-explanatory about the qualities of the soul. Is unborn, eternal, ever existing, is primeval. So only when the body comes to its end of life, it's not slain at all. It continues on to have another body, just like when we put on new clothing. We're not, although we may discard the old clothing, so similarly, at the time of death, we just discard our body, but the soul accepts a new material body. But depending on our level of actions that we performed in this lifetime, that determines our future lives. Just like the way we are born as we are, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're from one nation or another nation, culture, another culture, these are all due to our pious deeds or impious deeds that we've achieved this particular type of body. But here we're very, very fortunate. It's this very rare form of human life. We have that high intelligence that makes us able to understand what is right and what is wrong. Unlike animals, we just generally want to sleep, mate, eat, and defend. Even the humans do that as well. But the difference is that the human beings have this ability to understand who they are, what is the purpose of life, how do I get out of this material world, why is there so much suffering, who created this universe? These are really important questions that everyone should ask in one's life. They're not just working day and night just to earn a bit of living, just to support your family. Of course, that's important, but also understanding who is it that gave me this family in the first place? What is my role towards this family? What is my role as a father, as a mother, as a brother or a sister, as a son, daughter? But what is it that I can achieve to make my life better as well, or have a better sort of existence in my next life? And Krishna, Prabhupada actually explains about the qualities of a person, or rather Krishna is actually explaining down here, that the personality of God is the supreme master of everything auspicious because the result of whatever actions are performed by the living being, either in the material or spiritual existence, worded by the Lord. Because he's the ultimate benefactor. And this is so important because then later on, Srila Prabhupada mentions about whatever actions that you do from a spiritual perspective, that allows you to achieve your next life into a higher level of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, or even perhaps even come out from this material body at all, material body, and accept a spiritual body from the 5 types of liberation. But it's not very easy at all because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also mentions after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. Such a great soul is very rare after many, many births and lifetimes. So it's not that everybody wants to take up to Krishna consciousness. It's somebody who has a higher level of intellectual level or some sort of spiritual connection, perhaps been born in a family of spiritual devotees as well. But even then, those who have actually want to learn about Krishna, Krishna also mentions, amongst thousands of men who are in full perfection, those who have attained perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So even though we may all try wanting to learn more about Krishna consciousness or learn more about God, who is he, what is our role, we may not necessarily fully understand who Krishna is, just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam mentions many times that even the demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they cannot really understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in terms of his qualities, his attributes, his name, glories, pastimes, because it's unlimited. Just like as there's many stars in the cosmic universe, as many atoms there are, these are all the wonderful qualities that the Supreme Lord has and all the attributes, but many of us cannot understand even a portion of this particular aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when Srila Prabhupada mentions about the 5 types of liberation, the 5 types of liberation Srila Prabhupada refers to, first of all, is Sarupya, and that is when you have a similar bodily feature as the Supreme Lord. You could be like the form of Lord Vishnu with a 4-arm form. So you have all the quality of the bodily feature of the Supreme Lord, his majestic looks, his opulence. Then the next one is Salokya. In this particular liberation, you have the same facility as living on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So can you imagine when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is living in the Vaikuntha planet, it's full of opulence. You know, that supreme abode of mind is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return back to the material world. So the actual planet is self-effulgent from the Lord's body himself. So there's no sort of need for artificial lighting at all. And it's transcendental, full of knowledge, full of bliss as well, once again, and no suffering, Vaikuntha, where there's no miseries. And Sarishti is equal possession of opulence like the Lord. So, as I mentioned, the Supreme Lord has unlimited qualities. One of the qualities he has is full of opulence as well. So, you could have liberation when you have the similar sort of opulence as the Supreme Lord. The next one is Samipya, which is having association with the Lord. So, that association with the Lord can be in many forms as well. You could become his father or mother of the Supreme Lord as a parent. You could be a lover of the Supreme Lord, which is the highest level. You could be like a servant of the Supreme Lord, Dasya, or you could be a friend of the Lord, just Sakuras. These are like the different types of associations you can have with the Supreme Lord. Now, this one particular or liberation that Srila Prabhupada has not mentioned of the 5 types of liberation. Does anybody know which one that is? Okay, I'll give you clues to do with the impersonalism. Rajshri, you were going to say something? Rasalila Mataji? No, okay. Yeah, the last one is Sajyujya. This is where somebody wants to merge into the Supreme Lord. These are the impersonalists, the Mayavadis. When they're living in the material world, they're actually frustrated with the material world. They do not want to live in this material world because of all the unhappiness, because of all the suffering. They see it a place of misery, and they want to be in full eternal bliss and knowledge with the Supreme Lord. So they want to merge with the Supreme Lord. But this is not what the devotees want to do. They don't want an easy way out at all. They want to glorify the Supreme Lord to other unfortunate souls so they can understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. So the Supreme Lord is very, very kind. He, as he mentions here, he's so kind that even if a devotee of the Lord cannot fulfill the complete course of devotional service, unalloyed or uncontaminated by material association, is given a chance in the next life by being awarded a birth in the family of a devotee or a rich man, so that without being engaged in the struggle for material existence, the devotee can finish the remaining purification of existence and thus immediately, after relinquishing the present body, go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, and I'll share this verse to you. It's not this one. And it's not this one. Okay. Did I lose it? Okay, here it is. It's from chapter 6, verse number 40. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Pata Nevaha Mutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschid Dugatim Tata Gajati. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Sanaprita, transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities, does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So that's quite self-explanatory. And the next verse, which is verse 41, Prapya punya kritam lokan usitva sashvatihi sabanga suichinam srimat mangehe yoga prasto vijayate. The successful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment in the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people, into a family of aristocracy. So there, Krishna is so merciful that even after many years, or many lifetimes, if you are unsuccessful in your spiritual life, you do not come to a destructional point of life, but you basically carry on in your spiritual journey in your next lifetime. But perhaps you may be in a situation where you can actually enjoy many, many years in the planets of the pious living entities. Or in your next life, you can be born into a family of devotees, just like we see within the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. There's so many new generations of youngsters who have been born in family of devotees, been initiated by Srila Prabhupada, the first generation, second generation, and now almost coming to the third generation. And we've seen them how spiritually inclined they are. It's not by chance that they just came into a family of devotees, but Krishna arranges it in such a way that allows them to be able, allows them to carry on in their next journey. And there is one good sister of mine who, in a previous life, she does mention this in the article she wrote in one of the websites of Krishna Conscious websites, where she was actually a devotee in her previous life, but unfortunately she came to an unfortunate accident. And she was a man in a previous life, and in this lifetime she was a lady. And for some reason, she kept on having reminiscences of her previous life as a devotee living in Scotland. And she vividly remembers the place where she went. And she actually went to visit that particular place. And when she saw the people at the place where she was living, all her memories came back again, recognizing her from her previous life as a devotee living in the ashram, that particular place. But of course, he did not, who she was in a previous life as a young bhakta, he did not finish off his spiritual journey, but in this lifetime, she's such a wonderful devotee. She's actually doing so much Harinam Sankirtan. And this actually shows you that, many of us in our previous life, who knows who we could have been. We could have been some fortunate situation where we could have been given a book or some prasadam by a devotee in their previous life. And then in this lifetime, we've been having the fortunate association of the devotees, taking the darshan of the beautiful Lordship, Shri Radha Gokulananda, Radhaneshwara, whatever temple that you're serving around the world. And another example is when you know the story of Ajamil. Ajamil was such a wonderful devotee, a Brahmin family, but unfortunately, when he saw a prostitute, his mind got disturbed and he left his family, his father, his children, his wife, everyone to live with this prostitute. And even at 90 years old, he had a young boy. And it was just fortunate that a devotee or another Vaishnava saw Ajamil and he told to name his son Narayan. So he, out of kindness, Ajamil named his young boy Narayan. As you know the story, he was very attached to this boy Narayan. And at the time of death, he could only think of his boy Narayan, and he called that Narayan. And at the same time, when the Yamadutas came to take away, because he became completely devoid of religious principles, became like a very, very atheistic person, drinking, womanizing, so forth. But because he called out the name of Narayan, then also the Vishnu Dutas came to protect him and to free him from the clutches of the Yamadutas. It's so beautiful, but because a devotee associated, or he got the association of a devotee to name his son Narayan, he was actually freed from that material misery of birth and death. And eventually, when he did reconnect himself through the mercy of the Vishnu Dutas, he realized the mistakes he made, and he became a devotee again, back to who he was in his previous life, or not previous life, but previously what he was as a Brahmana. And then at the time of death, the Vishnu Dutas took him away to the Vaikuntha planets. So it's quite amazing, it is. We've just got a few minutes more. So on that particular verse as well, Srila Prabhupada actually mentions about the 9 processes of devotional service. Where does he mention that? It's somewhere here. Okay. The devotional service of the Lord involves 9 transcendental processes, such as hearing and chanting, and by performing such easy and natural devotional services. Such services, the devotees achieve the highest professional results, far, far superior to merging into the existence of Brahman. So I'm just going to share this verse. So this is a beautiful verse. Everybody should hopefully come across this verse. Does anybody want to volunteer to read this verse and the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I'll try.
Yeah, thank you, Nilavasana
Shri Prahlada Uvacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pumsarpitas Vishnu Bhaktis Lakshana Kriyata Bhagavati Adha Tanmanye Titam Uttanam.
Okay, translation.
Translation. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of the Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Krishna.
Mataji. So the most important one is of Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. And if you just continue to hear and chant about the glories of the Supreme Lord, then surely the Lord will favor you and take you back home, back to Godhead. Of course, within our own life, we're so busy, family duties, work duties, financial duties, health duties, commitments to looking after other families, mothers and fathers. But still, as a devotee inclined to surrender unto the Lord and serving this devotees, one must try and always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the beautiful verse, always remember Krishna and never forget him. So within these 9 processes, I'm sure all of you are doing 1 or 2 or even all 9 processes. So do continue to serve. And just finally, before I pass you to Namrata Mataji, this is such a wonderful, beautiful verse, and it's actually mentioned that the Supreme Lord is the ultimate benefactor. Now, just quickly, does anybody know a verse from the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says he's the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and is the ultimate benefactor? I'll give you a clue, Bhaktaram.
Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram
Oh, well done. Well
Suhidam
done.
Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantimich.
Well done. Who's that, Rupa Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just say that one more time and just recite the verse and the translation.
Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantimicchati. So Bhoktaram, I can't remember the exact English, but kind of
Yeah. Can you read the translations there on the screen? Can you see the screen?
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, thank you. 1 minute. Yeah, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
So there, thank you so much. So there, Krishna is once again given this promise that he's the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. So whatever you do, whatever actions that you do in relation to the Supreme Lord, he's the ultimate beneficiary. But because he sees your endeavor in doing devotional service, then he's going to favor you in so many wonderful ways. And the most important thing he's going to do is at the time of death, or when you're having difficulties in your life, Krishna is always going to be there. And many of you, I'm sure you have all felt the presence of the Supreme Lord helping you, holding your hand when you've gone through difficulties in your life. You may go through a bit of difficulties, some barriers, some ups and downs in your life, but when you completely surrender to the Lord, Krishna somehow or another makes you understand the reason why you went through a certain difficulty.
Hare Krishna. O Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly, having obtained a human birth, and having worshipped Radha and Krishna. I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of divine love in Gokul Vrindavan,
Goloka. Dita, are you still there?
I can't hear them, Prabhuji, either.
Yeah. I said they're not on mute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my laptop died for a second as well, and I've just reconnected, so I'm back on. Thank you.
could you poison?
Yeah, number 2.
The treasure of divine love in Golok Vrindavan has descended as the congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night my heart burns from the fire of the poison of worldliness, and I have not taken the means to relieve it.
Aditya, just read slightly slowly, if that's okay, yes, so we can relish the words.
Lord Krishna, who is the son of the king of Raja, became the son of Sachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram became Nittai. The holy name delivered all those souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madai, are evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Rishabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottama Das says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet. For who is my beloved except for you?
Thank you, Nashki, for a beautiful recitation. Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol. Hare Krishna, everyone. The bhajan is Hari Hari Bifale Janama Gunainu, and the author of the bhajan is Narottam Das Thakur. And please apologize, this is the first time I'm trying this bhajan, so please bless me as well. Hare Krishna. Hari 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 Bifale Janama Gunainu. Hari Hari Bifale Janama Gunainu. Manusya Janama Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya. Manusya Janama Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya. Janiya suniya bisa khainu. जानिया सुनिया बिसा खाइनु हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु गोलोकेरा प्रेमदान हरिनाम संकीर्तन गोलोकेरा प्रेमदान हरिनाम संकीर्तन रतिना जन्मे लोके नेता रतिना जन्मे लोके नेता हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु संसार भीषण आले दीवानिसिय ज्वले संसार भीषण आले दीवानिसिया ज्वले जुराइते ना कोई नुपार जुराइते ना कोई नुपार हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु ब्रजेंद्र नंदन जय साची सुत होइलो से ब्रजेंद्र नंदन जय साची सुत होइलो से बलराम होइलो निताय बलराम होइलो निताय हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु दीनहीन जत चिलो हरि नाम उधरिलो दीनहीन जाता छिलो हरि नाम उधारिलो तारा साक्षी जगाई मधाम तारा साक्षी जगाई मधाम हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु प्रभु नंद सुत वृषभानुसुत जुत प्रभु नंद सुत वृषभानुसुत जुत करुणा करो हो मायरो करुणा करो हो मायरो हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु नरोत्तम दास गोय नाथेली हो रंग पाय नरोत्तम दास गोयो नाथेली हो रंग पाय तोमा बिन के छे आमार तोमा बिन के आछे अमार हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु हरि हरि विफले जन्म गुनाइनु Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you so much, Namrata Mataji, so beautifully sung. And I think Aditi Mataji, Aditi Devi, she sang, spoke the English translation. So thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a wonderful week and keep practicing your 9 processes of devotional service. So at least we don't have to come back to this material world again. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Namrata Mataji, wonderful bhajan. Thank
Hare
you.
Bol, thank you. Hare Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Namrata Mataji. Very good bhajan. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.